kind of talking through former Florida, as you said before, and those really big teams, those teams that everyone was watching.
Mm-hmm.
The one that stands out is like the Tim Tebow, the Brandon Spikes, the Aaron Hernandez, right?
Yeah.
And you've got the new FX coming out about Aaron Hernandez, which I cannot wait for.
It'd be great.
We'll have to bring you back on and talk about it. But I would say, what is it like, or what was it like to see that group of individuals, and Urban Meyer as the coach? You've got sweet disciple Tim Tebow. You've got a criminal Aaron Hernandez. God bless him with so much CTE. And then you have Brandon
Yeah.
Spikes. What was that like?
It's interesting because it wasn't just they had, I think, 41 players get arrested on that national championship winning team. Like they had Jermaine Cunningham got arrested for throwing a sub at a Jimmy John's. You had somebody, Tony Joyner was a safety on the team in 2006. He broke into a car lot to steal his girlfriend's car that had gotten towed, like to get it back, right? So he did
Well, I
that.
have good reasons. That one I get.
Well, he ended up murdering his wife like a decade later. So, like,
Sorry,
Okay.
I shouldn't laugh at that. I just the
mean,
look on Jesse's face right there when
that
the
story
story
took a turn.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then you had like Riley Cooper. He had all of his,
I forgot Riley Cooper was on that team.
You know, you had Percy Harvin, who's had
Oh,
other people
Lord.
taking drug tests for him, so he would pass. He punched the wide receiver coach, Billy Gonzalez, in practice one time. So, like, you had all of these personalities, and you had so many alphas, and I don't know how it all worked out. It did, right? And you had so many highly recruited guys, so many guys that had massive egos, and then you throw Urban Meyer into that. The fact that it all did work is like a massive exercise. Like that would be a great dissertation for like a PhD in psychology, right?
Like a perfect storm scenario.
Yeah, but I mean, but think of that time like at UF, like you also had like my freshman year, you also had Joakim Noah on campus, Al Horford on campus.
Cam Newton was bouncing around then too, wasn't he?
Cam Newton was there in 2007, and he was in a quarterback battle with John Brantley, who was a third generation Gator. And you know, Cam Newton stole a laptop, threw it out a window, said that he bought it, you know, from a friend or borrowed it from a friend, but like still threw it out the window. So he had to get kicked off the team. If you listen to Cam Newton, his story was like, oh, he was never going to start at UF. It's like, well, dude, you did steal a laptop like after all of these players got arrested, right? Chris Rainey texted his girlfriend time to die. So like you had all of this, like, and these are ones I'm just like rattling off, like off memory, right? So you had all of these things, but like to watch them play was incredible, right? In my opinion, Percy Harvin is maybe the most underrated college football player of all time. He dealt with some migraines and, you know, some other migraines that were failed weed. Tests that he had, but one of the most explosive players in college football history. So watching them and being around them, they were larger than life, you know, on campus. They all hung out in this area called the Hub, which is right next to kind of the middle of campus. And these guys just look like men amongst children walking around campus, you know, even as 18 and 19-year-olds. I mean, I remember it was my freshman summer. So they encourage students at UF to start during the summer to get acclimated to campus and everything else. Take like 2 classes and it's really just kind of a party time. But like I'm the same age as Tim Tebow, and I would walk next to him like we are two diabolically differently built human beings, right? Or like Brandon Spikes would be there. I'm like, I didn't like, how do you even get your muscles that big, let alone like as an 18-year-old, right? So it was an incredible time to be there. And, you know, I'll look back at that because like I didn't want to go to UF. I wanted to go to school up in Washington, D.C. and all this other stuff. But it worked out going to Florida. And I mean, it turned out to be, you know, the coolest experience that you can imagine.
That was an insane squad. That was my first college football game. Like growing up an Alabama fan, we never lived close by. My parents are from there, but dad Air Force. So we didn't live there. I couldn't go. And my first college football game was in Jacksonville. It was Florida Georgia game. It was Tebow's first game back from his concussion that he got against Kentucky.
Uh-huh.
He broke Herschel Walker's rushing record.
Yeah.
That's very hard to say.
Yep.
And that's when Brandon Spikes tried to gouge the guy's eye out. Like,
I love it.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Watch, to be there, and just the atmosphere was electric. And it was also really, as a fan, you know, not of either Georgia or Florida, but to be there and for those teams to both be competitive at that time, you know, obviously not the Georgia that we see right now,
In
but
fairness, we had Joe Cox at quarterback. God bless him. But, you
Yeah.
know,
that was bad. That was a rough one.